Hello and welcome to another Unmatched Style podcast. I'm here with Kimberly Blessing at the In Control Conference in Orlando. So tell us what you do.
I am a software architect at Comcast Interactive Media in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I focus on user interface engineering and web standards.
That's great. And you're part of the HTML5 project?
I'm part of the, so I'm a member of the HTML5 working group, which anybody can become a member of, whether they knew that or not. And I'm on the web standards project and on the education task force, specifically looking at HTML5.
Right.
So
that's cool.
A lot of time spent looking at HTML5.
Right. Well, that's why I wanted to ask you, is HTML5 really ready for prime time?
I think that HTML5 is absolutely ready for prime time. I don't think that it's something that we want to sit on for too long. The specification's reaching last call very soon, and all of the browser manufacturers are really engaged in the process. So I think that with that, while we don't have necessarily an audience in all cases that's ready to support HTML5, and even though we don't have matching implementations yet, it's our job as web professionals to really be experimenting, trying things out, and knowing sort of where the boundaries are and where they're moving so that we're able to give feedback, help out one another, and ensure that HTML5 becomes what we want it to be.
You work for Comcast. How do you go about bringing this type of stuff into a big organization like that?
Well, I was at AOL for a long time, and when I was at AOL, when I first started there, we used no CSS. The first CSS that we actually wrote, exactly. The first CSS that we wrote was just literally to change link colors, because that's all we were guaranteed that would work. This was still back when we had AOL users that were using the very first AOL embedded browser, which was neither IE nor Netscape, and had no CSS support. So we had to be really delicate in our approach. And it took us a good 5 years to adopt CSS fully. But what happened was we came to the realization that so long as our approach ensured that we weren't blocking people's access to content, so long as they still had the same capabilities, if their experience wasn't the same, that was okay. We wanted their browser to do as much as it was capable of, nothing more, so long as they could access the content, so long as they had access to the features that they needed. They could get into email and whatnot. They didn't need it to be a pixel perfect reproduction of what we were doing on more modern browsers. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at HTML5 now as well. So the other part that I'm really interested in is how we look at browser support. And it seems like web professionals for a really long time have used a stick approach to communicating to people that they need to upgrade. We block them, we say, sorry, your browser's too old. And clearly these people haven't upgraded for some very good reason. Their machine isn't capable, they're not the admin on their machine, they don't have the ability to do it. And so I think that that's really a negative impression to leave them with. Whereas instead, you focus on that segment of people who have just the right combination of technology and possibility. And for me, one really big area of interest is folks on IE7 and Windows XP. Why haven't they moved to IE8? People who are using IE8, obviously on Vista and on Windows 7, who are going to be candidates for upgrading to IE9, making sure that they go the next step. And I think that it's going to be more about getting marketing teams to help us create really good messaging to make that upgrade an attractive opportunity for them, rather than focusing so much effort on trying to get these folks who are sort of way behind to upgrade. Instead, we would be better served not in trying to create a pixel perfect experience for them, but in making sure that they have access just to the basic capabilities. Might not be beautiful, might not be perfect. Doesn't have to be the same experience though. If they can get to their email, if they can read the news, if they can get what they need out of your website, order your product, that should be okay. And if we're all doing that, they're going to be getting the same experience across the board. And I think that message will sink in over time that the world's moving on, time for you to invest in a new computer, or time for your company to think about upgrading their systems so that everybody gets the best possible experience.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you very much.